everybody, it is Dean Z speaking to you from my basement. And today I want to talk about no one's favorite topic, namely getting denied. I am inspired to talk about this topic because today we are actually, as I'm recording this, we're on the cusp of sending out our first round of regular decision denials. And I am regretting a change in our process that we've had to implement because of COVID. Namely, I would normally print out letters and sign them all, and it would be an occasion to quickly look again at everyone's application who's getting a denial, and just make sure that this is something that we ought to be doing. It's not that I loved going through the denials again, because frankly, it's no fun. I do not like having to do it, but I did like sort of the ritual of it, the feeling like I'm honoring all the work that people put into their applications by, putting in work in exchange. But unfortunately, because of limitations on our being in the office, we're going to have to be sending out all denials this season by email. So I thought I would do a little work by recording this video to talk about it. You get a denial. What does it mean? I'll tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you can't do the work of being a lawyer and that the law school thinks you're no good. It doesn't even mean you can't do the work of that law school. Schools have limitations on how many people they can fit in a class, and they calculate how many people they can admit in order to get that size class. And, there will be a certain percentage that get waitlisted. But, the reality is you have to deny some people, because if you just put everybody on a wait list, that would be not doing anyone any favors. It's unrealistic, and it is, I think, disrespectful to do that when you know as an admissions office that you're not going to be actually finding room for all these people. So you have to make some hard decisions. But it is a tiny subset of the people who, at Michigan, it's a tiny subset of the people we deny, where I think, I don't think this person really should be a lawyer. That it's a tiny subset, and it even is a tiny subset of people who I think they can't do the work here. It's really simply a question of not having room for people. So first thing is, I know it's never going to feel good when you get your first denial. I mean, I should be humble. I know that there's some people, at least with regard to Michigan, who will get a denied decision and really not care. But most people don't like getting denied, even if it wasn't a school that they were wild about. Don't think this means that someone is saying you can't do the work. That is not what it means. And if you're getting 1 or 2 denials and you're getting into some other schools that you like, my strong advice is try not to think about this. Maybe it can give you a little bit of, inspiration to show that school what they missed when you get to law school and do such a great job. But in general, try to just put it behind you. But what if you are not getting into any of the schools that you've applied to? What if you are getting, negative responses from more than 1 or 2? How do you proceed? What's the right next step? First, I would say this is a great opportunity for just reevaluating. Is this what you want? Is the path of lawyering the thing that you really want to do? Or is it sort of the path of least resistance, or something that someone else wants you to do? I will say I come from a family of lawyers. I have 2 parents who are lawyers. I have 1 brother who is a lawyer, and then I have 1 brother who is not a lawyer. The non-lawyer brother was planning to be a lawyer. He's older than I am. I actually don't know if he even ever applied to law school, but I know that he was on the cusp of applying and then just decided, his options were not going to be, realistically, the schools he was going to get into were not the schools he wanted to go to. And he stepped back and thought, is this really what I want? can I go through life without being a lawyer? And it turned out the answer for him was, yeah. Turns out I could be very happy not being a lawyer. He went on to a completely different field where he's been unbelievably successful, and it was great for him and great for the world that was the choice he made. So some group of people who will get denials, they may be in that position. You may want to step back and think, why am I doing this, right? And so that's an opportunity for you. But let's say you do that and you're like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer. This is what I want. Well, then great. This is your chance to reevaluate the materials you put together and figure out how can you make them better. Now, some of the materials, it is what it is, right? Like you can't really change your GPA at this point. So you can get more material for a school to look at, like maybe other educational opportunities or work experience, so that the GPA does not take on undue influence, as it were. LSAT, little less written in stone. You can take the LSAT again. But in general, the way the LSAT works, it doesn't, for most people, it does not change hugely upon a retake, unless you really had something go wrong the first time, like you were ill or you didn't prepare optimally or something. If you can make some big change, then it might be worth it to take the LSAT again. I usually think that's a last resort, honestly. And I would look at all the other materials in your application that you have a lot of control over. Letters of rec. Did you pick people who could talk about you in detail? Did they put the time into it? Are they recent letters? Could you pick new people that might be able to do better work for you? Wait, what about essays? Did you write as many as you had an opportunity to write? Was the topic that you chose one that really reflects your strengths? Are you showing all aspects of yourself? Did you maybe focus too narrowly or something? I see that a lot sometimes where people will talk about one subject in a personal statement and then the same subject in an optional essay. And I thought, like, that's a lost opportunity. I wish I knew more about you. Maybe there's something you could do there. A big area that I think people can improve upon is if you have some misconduct, have you explained that in a way that is compelling and clear and taking responsibility? That's something you can reevaluate. You can do a lot of this assessment work yourself, when you're ready. Maybe not like the day you get the denial, but step back, look at it, be as realistic as you can be. Ask a friend who you think has good judgment to look at it. Get some advice from that person. But you can do a lot of this just on your own. You don't need to, hire a consultant to do it. Pre-law advisors, another good resource possibly for helping you reevaluate. Now, sometimes people want to know from the admissions office, like, what was the problem in my application? Can you tell me that? That is not likely to happen for a couple reasons. One is, in order to give really helpful critiques and honest critiques, there has to be a certain amount of trust between the person being critiqued and the person doing the critiquing. And obviously, you and admissions offices are, for the most part, strangers to each other. So there isn't going to be that kind of trust, that kind of fondness that you need to give someone good feedback. And the other reason is, like, there usually isn't a specific thing that someone can point to. We have holistic processes. That means we're taking in all the materials in your application and making a decision. So it may be, all right, let's say you have a really weak GPA, and you might say to yourself, well, it was my GPA that kept me out. Yes and no, right? Like, the GPA probably, it wasn't helpful, but it is possible. Some people with low GPAs get admitted, and it's because there's enough other stuff in the application to overcome that GPA. And so it is always a combination of many factors that leads to any particular outcome. So that is why, for the most part, I don't know of any law school admissions offices that as a general matter will go through your materials with you and identify the thing that kept you out. But as I say, I think you can do a lot of that work on your own if you are willing to step back and be real frank with yourself. Finally, another reason why it is would be a challenge for an admissions office to answer that kind of question is it really often depends on the strength of the pool too, right? So there are certainly people who in one year might have one outcome and in another year would have a different outcome. And this has been a very strong year of law school applications nationally. So I think there will be more disappointed people than usual. And I hate that. But if you do end up reapplying, I can tell you I don't know any school that holds that against a person that they are applying a second time. So I would seriously encourage you to think about that if at the end of this season you feel like I really want to be a lawyer and I really didn't get into the schools that I wanted to get into. There's always next year. All right, that's all I have to say about that. But now I want to talk about grammar. Here's a mistake that people make a lot, I have noticed. People say, I should have went to another school and not your stinking institution, for example. That is not correct. You should say should have gone and not should have went. And why is that? Went is the past tense of to go, and it doesn't get paired with have. Gone is the past participle, I love these phrases, of to go, and it does carry have as what they call an auxiliary verb. It requires that. So you say should have gone, not should have went. Yeah, okay, hope that's helpful. Would love to hear your feedback and suggestions. Please put any questions you have in the comments below or email us at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu and put vlog in the subject line. We've gotten the last few days, we've gotten a bunch of good suggestions and I appreciate that. Keep those cards and letters coming. Always looking for good ideas. I have an idea for a couple of file reviews that we're going to do in the next couple weeks. Yeah, and we'll still be on this bi-weekly schedule for the time being because, as I mentioned, strong admission season, and I got to keep my little nose above water with reading the files. Finally, many thanks to Dustin Johnston, without whom this would not be possible. Wherever you go, go blue.